insurance. This is Tony Cañas, Chief Motivational Officer at Insurance Nerds and PNC Client Advisor at the Jacobson Group. And I am recording on a Saturday morning, a Saturday noon or so, here in my home base of Columbus, Ohio, where it is rainy and gross outside. This particular episode will not go live today. I will be in Chicago all week next week at Jacobson home office. When I'm there, generally I don't have much time to record, so I'm recording ahead. And also this topic might take me a little while to cover. I have a lot of notes here, so this will likely become a two-part to go live Monday and then Tuesday. So first of all, thank you for joining. And today I want to talk about what I've come to call lost insurance agents. So what are lost insurance agents and why I want to talk about them and what I recommend they do. I've been getting a lot of calls from insurance agents. As always, remember, I have never worked a day in my life in an insurance agency. I have served agents and agencies as an underwriter, as a field sales manager, as an inside sales manager with Insurance Nerds, and help with them with staffing through Jacobson. But I've never worked in an agency, so keep that in mind. Okay. So I've been getting calls from insurance agents who feel lost. And there's two types of insurance agencies, of insurance agents specifically, that keep calling. And one of them is formerly exclusive nationwide agents who have recently been transformed into independent agencies, and they knew how to be successful as exclusives, but transforming into being an independent agent is a challenge. And especially if they were a heavily personal lines agency, starting to do more commercial lines is a challenge. And also young agents, young producers to be exact, that have been hired into small agencies where they get limited training and basically zero mentorship. And many times these agencies are owned by their family, but they were built a long time ago in a very different way, in a very different world than the world that exists today. So if you or somebody you know fits this description, one of those two above, of what I like to call lost insurance agents, you're in trouble. I will be honest. You're in a tough situation, okay? And there's a few reasons for that. Number one, personal lines insurance is not what it was when your parents built the agency. Personal lines insurance is not what it was when you built the nationwide exclusive agency compared to today. So if you've been doing this for a while, the boomer generation is declining in numbers. The Xer generation is smaller than the boomer generation. So as the boomers retire and have less assets to insure, or as they start naturally passing away, they're being replaced by the Xers. There's less of them. So there's less people out there that have enough assets and that really benefit from and know that they need an insurance agent. My beloved millennial generation is large, but many of them don't think they need agents. We were raised by Geico and Progressive ads, so we don't think we need agents. We do, we definitely do, but we don't know it, and we won't know it until we have a bad claim. And also, they have less assets. Millennials are less likely to own homes than boomers were at, in their late 30s or mid 30s or late 20s. We just haven't been treated very well by the economy on average. Some of us have, but many of us have not, and thus we have less assets to insure, and that makes us less desirable, less profitable insurance clients. Also, nowadays you can buy personalized insurance from anywhere. I've had my Xbox show me State Farm and Geico ads. I've been in roadside stops sponsored by Geico. Like every app wants to sell me insurance. It's crazy. So the old world of sponsoring the local high school football team and insuring everybody in your community, it's hard. It's changed a lot. So the way that your dad built the agency or your uncle built the agency, or the way that the principals who are there today, whether you're related to them or not, built the agency, doesn't really work anymore. And if they don't understand how the world has changed, they're expecting that you'll be able to just repeat what they did and be successful, and the world's very, very different. Also, there's been $10 billion of investment in the insurtech revolution, and a significant amount of that is trying to disintermediate you, and they disintermediate you literally out of business. And even the insurtechs that are trying to help you, the Bold Penguins of the world, the Indios of the world who just got bought out, there's many that insurtechs that specifically are there to try to help agents. There's so many of them, it's hard to know which ones to go to, right? And you don't have an unlimited amount of money or unlimited amount of time to try them all and figure out which ones are the best. It's a hard world to navigate right now, and it's starting to simplify as many of them get acquired, but it's a hard world to navigate. So what do you do if you're a lost agent? Whether you've been doing this for a long time as an exclusive and now you're thrust into the independent world, or if you're a new producer and you have no prior insurance background, what do you do? Well, number one, especially for that young new producer, you need to decide whether you want to sell. And by that, I don't mean sell the agency. I'm assuming you're not in control of the agency yet. What I mean is decide whether what you want to do with your life is sell. Many millennials have said in surveys that selling is not what they're particularly interested in. It's one of the main reasons they avoid insurance careers, because of this perception that selling is all there is. The reality is there's a lot more to insurance careers. As you all know, I'm a lot more of a carrier guy. So I tend to talk more about carrier side careers where selling direct to the public is not what we do. You want to be successful in the agency space outside of an administrative or service type role. It's really about selling. It's really about, can you sell? That is the one thing that matters. Do you enjoy selling? Number two, if you don't love selling, then consider a carrier side career. We want to keep you in the industry. The experience that you're gaining right now is very valuable. Maybe taking it into the carrier side for more stability, for more stability and where you don't have to feed yourself, right? You have to go and hunt your business, so to speak. You can just underwrite it or handle claims or whatever. There's many jobs on the carrier side. So consider a carrier side career. Now, let's be honest. There's more money on the broker side in the long term. Successful brokers make a ton of money. In the carrier space, there is a ceiling at somewhere near 130 grand a year or so, which is darn good money. But somewhere around 130 grand a year or so in a moderate cost of living area is kind of the ceiling for most insurance professionals, unless you really ascend to the executive ranks. On the broker side, there are brokers out there that make 500 grand a year, $1 million a year or more. It is totally doable on the broker side if you're successful in the long term, especially in commercial lines. If you do stick to, from here I'm going to assume that you are sticking to the being an agent or a broker. You need a mentor. You need a mentor, and there's a very good chance that if you're at a small agency, they're not very good at mentoring. So you need to consider whether to stay there. You need to consider how you can find a mentor outside the agency. Start going to big I events, start going to PIA events, start going to Elevate, start going to places where a lot of successful insurance agents are at, and find somebody to mentor you. And if they are within your agency, a mentor should have skin in the game, because otherwise they have no incentive. What I mean by that is they should benefit when you write business with their help, financially benefit, because otherwise they have no incentive to take time away from growing their own book to help you grow yours, even if it's good for the future of the agency. But you need a mentor. What I've been really surprised about is the number of people that have called recently who were rather unfamiliar with the big names of the agency space today. The people and organizations that are doing a fantastic job helping young agents, helping new agents understand, and even helping experienced agents understand how to thrive and continue growing in the 21st century. Amazing to me, shocking to me. You've been living under a rock, or maybe you're brand new to the industry, but I highly recommend, the first thing I want you to do is spend a couple of weeks getting really familiar with the old Agency Nation. By the old Agency Nation, what I mean is all of the content Agency Nation has from the years that their main faces out in front of the camera were Ryan Hanley, Sydney Rowe, and Joey Gingola, none of whom are still with Agency Nation. The material they created for Agency Nation is amazing. So go to Agency Nation. One good place to start is their YouTube channel, and just go down a little bit to all the videos from a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years ago. You'll be blown away by the content that amazing group of thinkers and content producers passionate about our industry created for Agency Nation. So check that out. We're very lucky. Ryan Hanley's back in the industry. Go check out ryanhanley.com. Check out Ryan Hanley's YouTube channel. There is so much content that Hanley's producing, and it's fantastic. Then go check out a few podcasts. Check out the Insurance Guys. Check out, and I'll include links to all of them. Check out Westfield Insurance podcast, Closing the Gap with Chris Klein. Check out the Vertifor podcast with Rick Fox. Check out Paradiso Presents. I don't believe Chris Paradiso has a podcast, but he does have a lot of resources and classes and training for other agencies, and he's really, really good at it. Check out his magazine, Last Agent Standing. So spend, I don't know, a month or 2 months, and this is the perfect season. Right now, it's almost Christmas time. Work's gonna be quiet for a month and a half. Nobody wants to meet with you for the next month and a half. At least my guess is they don't. Take that time to really become immersed in the modern, what I would like to call the modern theory of being an agent, the modern theory of running an agency, and then come back and decide what you want to do, because that is a new world. Those are the things that you have to do to succeed in the future. And also check out the Digital Broker podcast with my very good friend Ryan Dietz that he does through Indio. There's so much great content out there. But let's be very, 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 very clear. If you're a young producer, in order to implement a lot of this, you're going to have to figure out a way to get support from the principals, to get support from the owners, from the partners that actually own your agency. And they might think you're crazy. And you might have to change, you might have to switch to an agency that gets it and that is willing to make the investments. Because basically what you're asking them to do is to go from a world where they take home a ton of money every year and to reinvest a significant amount of money in the industry instead. To reinvest a significant amount of money in the agency instead, in perpetuating the agency after they're gone, which is something that they might or might not be willing to put money. And they probably pay lip service to it, but are they willing to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in the right hiring, the right training, the right mentorship, the right technology that you're going to need to survive and to thrive in the new world? It's going to be hard to get the point across to them, because there's a natural assumption that things are the same way today as they were when we went through them. It happens to me. I have this assumption that college looks the same as it did 15 years ago when I was there. It doesn't. I have this assumption that going through CPCU looks the same as it did in 2011 when I went through it. In some ways it doesn't, right? So my advice, if I'm not careful to go back and look at the way things have changed and talk to people who have gone through it recently, it's very easy to assume that things haven't changed. And that's exactly what happens to a lot of agency principals. They've been successful and they've been kind of in cruise mode for the last decade after working hard for 15, 20 years. And they just don't know the reality of being a young producer today. And in order to be successful, you're gonna have to convince them to invest back in the agency more than they probably want to. So this might require some shopping around. This might require you moving around. This might require you open your own agency, potentially. Because you're gonna need support from your principals. You're gonna need them to invest. You're gonna need money for them to invest back in the agency. If you're if you are a medium to medium large agency, I would give a call to Kelly Donahue Pyro, and she runs 2 companies that help agencies. Agency Performance Partners, I can't remember the name of the other one, but I would definitely check out Agency Performance Partners and Kelly Donahue Pyro. Bring her in to help you out. Consider consider bringing in Resource Pro to help with processes, to help with outsourcing things so that your CSRs and account managers can focus on high value work, so you can pay them better over time, so you can attract better talent in there as the people that have been there forever retire, which is coming. I guarantee it, basically. And for smaller agencies where you've got, I get calls by them all the time on the Jacobson side looking for staffing help, and it's so hard because I don't know what to tell them. They can't afford us. They're having a very hard time finding talent, harder than they've ever had. The competition they're facing from every side is harder than it's ever been, and they just don't know what to do anymore. And so if you're in one of the agencies like that with 5 to 10 people, right, and not a lot of business, the chances that your principals really get what you're asking for is very small. And you're gonna have to do a lot of convincing, and also they probably don't have as much money to work with as a medium-sized or larger agency. In those cases, I would agency performance partners might be too big for you. You guys probably can't afford them, and they probably can't help you. But I would look at Meg McKean at Adjunct Advisors. She's Chicago-based. I believe that she does work with agencies all over the country, but she's a successful young agent who decided to move on to help other agents, and especially producers, in kind of in the opposite way as Ryan Hanley. Same story, Ryan Hanley, young agent that was very successful, who moved on to help everybody through kind of a top-down or a broadcast type model. He does consulting now too. Meg, similar story, but Meg decided to do it in a bottom-up model by individual consulting with small agencies, especially small producers. So I would look at all those resources that I'm linking below, that I've mentioned here, and start looking for support within your agency principals to invest in those things. And this is not going to be easy, but the agents and brokers remain a very important part of our system, of what we do for the economy. And those who figure it out will make a ton of money, will have amazing careers. Successful agency careers are fantastic. But it's not easy. And I believe that it's harder today. And some people will say that because of digital marketing, it's easier. But you've got to understand. Here's the biggest thing. You've got to understand that success for an agent or broker or producer in the next 30 years will be radically different when it comes to the work they need to do to get there than success was for agents and brokers and producers in the last 30 years. This is still a people business, but the implementation, the strategies and tactics needed to succeed are radically different than they used to be, because it's a radically different world with radically different technology. Also, for a great introduction to Ryan Hanley, check out his video, Advice to a 22-year-old producer. It's one of my favorites. I'll link in the links below. What do you think? I would love to see your comments below. What do you think of the advice I'm giving? What other advice would you give to what I'm describing as a lost insurance agent or producer? TC out.